the Packers are going to be the number 1 seed because all the other teams are poo-poo. Crossy Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I am your host, Tom. I hope we get the number 1 seed, but I would be satisfied with the number 2 seed, Grossi. And today we will be mapping out what will be needed for the Green Bay Packers to pick up the number 1 or the number 2 seed in the NFC. But before we get to that, we gotta shout out a brand new Patreon, and that is Mr. Henry Scamehorn, who has just joined the Beer Masters tier, otherwise known as the Bart Starr tier, and a cheers to you, my good sir. Thank you for your support. If you would like to support me and get some cool rewards, check out patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. Now, let's kick it into another gear. Now, the reason why we're looking at just the number 1 and number 2 seed is because if the Packers win out, the worst that they could possibly do is the 3 seed. Because remember, when it comes to the rankings, 1 through 4 are filled by the divisional leaders, right? So you'll have the NFC East, NFC North, NFC South, and NFC West. And then after that, the next highest record will get number 5, and then the next highest record will get number 6. So if the Packers win the North, we're basically guaranteed the 3 spot, considering I don't think you're gonna see the Cowboys or Eagles getting a better record than the Packers, since it's almost mathematically impossible at this point. But, you know, crazier things have happened. No, they haven't. The Cowboys and Eagles suck. So with that, let us take a look with these 2 scenarios for the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed. And we have to be given the assumption here that we're gonna win out. Now, if the Green Bay Packers win their next 3 out of 4 games, they will win the North. They could even lose to the Vikings, and they will still win the North. You have to actually thank Seattle for that. So, let's kick it into gear. Let's look at the improbable seeding first, and that is the number 1 seed. Our chances at the number 1 seed drastically declined after losing to the 49ers on that Sunday night, which again, I'm still going to mention as a bye week, and that it never happened. So we just gave the 49ers a win because we were feeling generous that evening. Now, in order for us to get the number 1 seed, we obviously have to win out the rest of our games and finish 13-3. Now, in addition to that happening, here is what must happen for all the other teams. So the San Francisco 49ers have to lose 2 games. And taking a look at their schedule, that is very possible. They're sitting at 10-2 right now. They're playing a tough team in New Orleans. Then they're playing Atlanta, which we all know how that's going to end. The Rams, who know, maybe they'll play them difficult, and then the Seahawks. So there's a good chance that they wind up losing against the New Orleans Saints or the Seattle Seahawks, and that would fulfill that criteria. However, we also need 2 other things to happen to other teams. So right now you have the 10-2 Saints. All we need for them to do in order to get the number 1 seed is we need them to lose 1 other NFC game. Now, they're playing the 49ers, which is a losable game, the Colts, the Titans, which really doesn't impact us in any way, shape, or form because those are AFC, and then the Panthers, who, you know, they lost to the Redskins, so I'm not really going to put all my chips on that one. So, again, you need the 49ers to lose 2, which is very possible, and then you need the Saints to lose 1. Now, the problem here is obviously the 49ers and Saints are playing one another. So for both of these things to occur, it's going to be difficult. So if the Saints win on Sunday, then they have to lose against the Panthers, and the 49ers have to lose against at least the Falcons, the Rams, or the Seahawks for us to have a shot at the number 1 seed. And on top of that, you look at the 10-2 Seattle Seahawks, they need to lose 2 games as well. They're playing the Rams, the Panthers, the Cardinals, and the 49ers. Now, the Rams could give them problems as they have in the past. And then, of course, you have the 49ers game, but as we've already mentioned, they are playing the 49ers, and the 49ers need to lose as well. So the number 1 seed is incredibly convoluted and is going to be incredibly difficult to win. So if I was a betting man, I would say we're most likely not going to get the number 1 seed. However, then you start looking at the more obtainable goal, and that is the number 2 seed, which would still saddle us in with a first-round bye and a game at Lambeau. Now, The number 2 seed is much easier to attain, but still there needs to be some hurdles we need to jump over. So, first of all, we need to win out. We need to beat the Redskins, the Bears, the Vikings, and also the Lions. So, if we win out, all we need to happen is one of the following. The Saints have to lose one NFC game. So that's either against the San Francisco 49ers or that's against the Carolina Panthers. So it makes more sense for us Packer fans to actually be rooting for the 49ers this Sunday, because if the Saints lose, all the Packers have to do is win out and they get the number 2 seed, which would be phenomenal. The Saints would drop down to number 3. Or if the Saints wind up winning, right, and they beat the Panthers, then we need the 49ers and the Seahawks to lose 2 more games. So going back to that first seeding criteria, which again is going to be pretty difficult considering the 49ers and Seahawks do play one another. So unless they drop off to another team. So again, if the Saints wind up winning and they get that number 1 seed, you could have the 49ers lose to New Orleans and lose to the Seahawks. And then hopefully Seattle drops against like the Rams or Panthers or Cardinals. So again, that aspect is going to be very difficult to obtain. But the number 2 seed is definitely within reach. We just need to hope that the Saints lose this Sunday and then the Packers win out for the rest of the season. Now, the Vikings, where do they come in? They're sitting at 8-4 right now. They have the Lions, they have the Chargers, they have the Packers, they have the Bears. We went out, it's over. So they're kind of irrelevant at this point. Now, technically, they can still catch us, but we own the tiebreaker over them when it comes to the division. So for example, we have yet to lose a divisional game. The Vikings have lost 2 divisional games. They lost against us and they lost against the Bears. Now, technically, if they beat the Lions, they beat the Packers, and they beat the Bears, and we lose to the Vikings, and we lose to the Lions or the Bears, then we're going to start to see some problems emerge. But at this point, it seems like things are looking our way because we at least control our own destiny. So the bottom line here is if we win out, the worst that we could do is the number 3 seed, and if the Saints lose this Sunday and we win out, we can get the number 2 seed, which would be phenomenal. That means that, well, we're already going to host at least a playoff game in Lambeau if we get the 3 seed, but a week off would be very, very nice because who knows, upsets could happen. So if the rankings went Seahawks, Packers, Saints, Cowboys, 49ers, Vikings, then there's a good chance that we would see the Saints in the divisional round, but they would be coming to Lambeau, which I think is a favorable matchup for us. I think the number 1 seed is a little bit out of reach considering all the complications there, but that number 2 seed is definitely possible. Obviously, the first thing we need to do is take care of business and win out. First, we need to focus on the Redskins, and then the next game, and the next game, and the next game. But we need to win out, take care of business, and then hopefully the Saints lose on Sunday so things can fall our way. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which seed do you think the Packers are going to wind up snagging for the playoffs this year? Let me know. You can always find me at TomGrassiComedy.com or at TomGrassiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out Patcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course the YouTube. And a big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon members or at patreon.com/TomGrassiComedy. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grassi. And as always, go Pack Go.